Okay. Right. We're going to call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Amy. What?
Well, we have to,
Just accept them. We don't read them in the meeting.
sorry, but if I may, we did read the minutes before and then we stopped doing that, assuming that we asked for a vote to make sure that everyone did have a chance to go through the minutes.
All right,
And then,
gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
New to the process, you know.
it's recently changed.
All right, okay. All right. So the correspondence bees have been busy this past month. All right, I got, since the last meeting, I received 39 letters concerning the Andrews application for the use variance. 38 of them were against it. One of them was kind of neutral, didn't really say for or against it. Just be mainly basically pointed out the law involved there with the zoning. And then the members want to take a look at these?
Sorry, but we still have to accept the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So the minutes from January 10th meeting, does anybody want to make a motion to accept them?
I make that motion. We accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Kind of a form letter.
Well, most of them are all identical.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen this one.
Well, those are being looked at. Can we just say we just have a statement to read tonight and that's about all we have for you?
Not at this time, though.
I don't know.
See those letters, Pat?
Yeah, I just wanted to put that on.
We have one of them. Oh, okay. Most of them are all like.
Oh, okay. Yes. Neil,
Yes,
were they predominantly all the same letter, but just different people?
correct, right. There was some that were differently written, all right, but they were all, in opposition.
Don't know how to write it.
Swear.
Oh.
You're right.
Want to see some of these other ones?
Yeah, I mean, because you would recognize me.
Oh, no.
Mm. Yeah, you could. See what they do. I don't see a response to it.
Yeah,
You'll probably shut it down.
yeah.
No.
Some of them I've
Yeah.
gotten copies of.
Mhm. You say 38, 39.
39 total.
Mhm.
One was kind of,
Actually, I think there's a duplicate one.
is there?
Mhm. One handwritten and one form.
All right. Very good, Pat. Does anybody have anything on these?
Not specifically on those, no.
One other correspondence received today was an email from Mr. Robert Ullman concerning an allegation against board member Juarez. After my investigation into the said allegations, I found it to be unfounded at this time. So we will proceed as normal with that application. Okay, now we move on to old business. The art shop application, Andrews, 1131, 13 Second Avenue, a use variance decision. As of the workshop on January 24th of this year, a consensus was made to formulate a resolution, and the resolution has been done. All the members have had an opportunity to review that.
But I still have something to say, if that's okay.
Uh,
Whenever you're ready.
All the members have been able to review that. Does anybody want to make any changes to that?
I just need to make a clerical correction on page 2 of the motion near the bottom. The last paragraph says January 20th, but it was actually January 24th.
correct,
2022.
okay.
The only thing that I noticed, and I think it's fine, because it's this way in all of our district regulations. Page, or the cover page, the last two lines, the zoning law with only one permitted principal use. I don't know if there is a distinction between a one and a two-family dwelling. but that's-
Yeah, but it's set up as one item in the list.
Right, right,
Yeah.
it's set up as one
I get
item.
your point. I kind of struggle with that myself,
Right.
Stephen.
Right, but it's that
I
way,
recognize what it is.
it's that way consistently throughout the
Right.
district regulations. That is one entity.
Anybody else with language on this?
Just curious, is this the first time we're all seeing this? Or was it sent out?
It was sent out to you.
It was sent
I
out to
emailed
them.
it.
Oh, did you?
No, I mean, Ken
Yeah, I
sent it
sent
out.
it out to everybody this afternoon.
Oh, okay. Must have missed it.
I believe it is an accurate representation of our discussion at our workshop meeting.
So you have something on this?
Yeah, I just wrote up a little something, if I may.
Sure.
This group of people have a fantastic idea that will bring energy and capital into our town. One of the reasons ZBA exists is because zoning needs interpretation and some exceptions need to be considered. This building and project are in a gray area. It is a commercial building in general residential. There are several other commercial buildings in the flats. Because of this, I find it very easy to interpret this as permissible. It originally housed 3,000 chickens, then it became a workshop, and now it has the opportunity to be made into an artist studio with a small scale flower boutique. The feedback from the community from the original one was overwhelmingly in favor of the project, including folks who live in the flats and or who have businesses along the roadway to the studio. As a ZBA, we have the ability to limit the grant to an applicant only. We can condition the grant on applicants continuing to own the property. We need to think long-term about how this community will continue to grow and thrive. We shouldn't be turning away possible and innovative low-impact projects that have the possibility to make a big impact on what Narrowsburg has to offer. That's my piece on that.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? Okay, so with that said, does anybody want to make a motion to adopt this resolution?
I will make that motion to adopt the resolution.
We didn't get any opportunity to speak.
Not at this time, no.
Right.
It's on for decision today. And you're getting a decision.
We would really like to say something if we may.
We're
After this
make-
process?
we're gonna, you're gonna have an opportunity to say something at the end of the meeting. No.
Don't read it.
No. We're just going to vote on it. We know what it's about.
Usually, well, we're the public, and we should have a right to know what you're reading.
You can read it after it's voted on.
You have a copy?
No, only the members do. So
That doesn't seem.
do we have a second on the motion?
Right.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor of adopting this resolution? Aye.
Aye.
No.
So that's 4 ayes, 1 no. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. the result of it.
Just gonna take time, but
I know.
you can do it.
I'll just send, I'll just give the end result.
Do you want me to read? I'll read all the resolutions. No, I can.
All right, go ahead.
Just tell me to do it.
Okay, Ken's going to read the result, the content of the resolution.
The resolution reads as follows, on motion and second. Whereas Catherine Andrews, Courtney Canali, and Josh Kessler, the applicants, are contract vendees for the purchase of a parcel of land and a building existing thereon, owned by Allison Tech and Jason Keene, as identified in the Town of Tustin tax map as Section 11, Block 3, Lot 1, located at 13 Second Street, which is hereafter referenced as the premises, upon which there is situated a non-residential structure that was established prior to the existence of the Town of Tustin zoning law, which is going to hereafter be referenced as the zoning law. Whereas the premises are situated in the general residential GR zoning district, which is intended to provide for higher density residential neighborhoods where public water and sewer is available along with other essential public services. And as such is the most restrictive zoning district established under the zoning law, with only one permitted principal use allowed and only 9 special uses. And whereas it appears and has not been refuted that any of the pre-existing non-conforming uses made by the premises prior to the enactment of the zoning law have been discontinued for in excess of 1 year, resulting prior to the applicant's application for the requested use variance, such pre-existing uses being deemed abandoned pursuant to section 9.8.1 of the zoning law. And whereas the applicants made application to the Town of Tustin Zoning Board of Appeals, ZBA, for the granting of a use variance providing relief from the requirements of the zoning law so as to permit the use of the premises and the structure existing thereon for commercial purposes, including a plant shop and photography studio, together with some short-term living space to be occupied by workers at the premises. And whereas the ZBA had duly noticed meetings on October 11, 2001, October 25th, 2001, November 8, 2021, November 8, 2021, and January 10, 2022, at which meetings it examined the application and received, in addition to the application, several submissions of documentation from the applicants in support of their application. And whereas the ZBA held a duly advertised and properly noticed public hearing on January 10, 2024, at which the ZBA received the comments of all interested parties appearing thereat, commentary received being mixed, with some residents in the neighborhood being opposed and others being in favor of granting the requested use variance. Those being opposed primarily expressed concerns about the proposed use having a negative impact on the character of the neighborhood. And whereas the ZBA held a duly noticed workshop meeting on January 24, 2022, to evaluate the merits of the application and deliberate thereon in furtherance of the discussion and consideration by the ZBA that occurred during the regularly scheduled meeting that followed the aforesaid public hearing, at which workshop meeting the applicant appeared and further discussed the application with the ZBA. Whereas the ZBA considered the materials originally submitted and the supplemental materials submitted as aforesaid, and discussed whether, under the circumstances presented, the zoning law is causing an unnecessary hardship upon the applicants, and whether the applicants presented the requisite evidentiary proof to establish that, with respect to each and every permitted use in the general residential GR zoning district, a reasonable return cannot be realized on the entirety of the premises, and that such lack of return is substantial and demonstrated by competent financial evidence. B, the alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood involved. C, the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. And D, the alleged hardship has not been self-created. And whereas the members of the ZBA are personally familiar with the premises and the surrounding neighborhood and have observed the same. And whereas the ZBA has given thorough and complete consideration to the foregoing matters and the general purpose and intent of the zoning law and comprehensive plan, now therefore be it resolved that the ZBA hereby makes the following findings and determinations. 1, the applicants have not established that the strict application of the literal terms of the zoning law would impose an unnecessary hardship. A, the applicants have not established that if the requested use variance is denied, the premises cannot realize a reasonable return on the entire parcel. The applicants have not presented what the zoning law defines as competent financial evidence, i.e. appraisals and economic studies. And the financial evidence that has been provided is limited to certain, but not each and every permitted use for which the premises could lawfully be made under the zoning law. The proofs presented by the applicants, particularly as to values, are limited to certain of the permitted uses and are not of an independently objective nature as would exist if provided by a certified or licensed appraiser. B, there has been no demonstration by the applicants that the premises are burdened by characteristics such as geographic or environmental constraints, size, or shape, distinctly unique to the premises as compared to other properties in the neighborhood and within the general residential GR zoning district, so as to render the premises incapable for utilization for purposes comprising each and every permitted use for which the premises could lawfully be made under the zoning law. C, granting of the variance would alter the essential character of the neighborhood, although there are a very few pre-zoning vestiges of commercial uses remaining in the neighborhood. The neighborhood is predominantly residential, and such character is consistent with the stated intent and purpose of the general residential GR zoning district to provide for higher density residential neighborhood with public water and sewers available along with other essential public services. D, the hardship appears to be self-created in that the current owners of the premises with whom the applicants are in contract to purchase the same have allowed whatever pre-existing non-conforming uses there were on the premises that could otherwise be allowed to continue indefinitely to become deemed abandoned by operation of section 9.8.1 of the zoning law, which provides that, quote, if a non-conforming use or land or structure ceases operation, is discontinued or is vacated for a period of 12 months or more, then this shall constitute an abandonment of such non-conforming use, and any subsequent use of the land or structure shall be for conforming purposes only, and said use shall, in all respects, conform to the applicable provisions of this zoning law, close quote. And be it further resolved that the application of Catherine Andrews, Courtney Canali, and John Kessler for use variance to utilize the parcel of land and existing building thereon, owned by Allison Peck and Jason Keene, that is identified on the town of Tustin tax map as section 11, block 3, lot 1, located at 13 Second Street, for commercial purposes, including a plant shop and photography studio, together with some short-term living space to be occupied by workers, be in the same hereby is denied for the reasons and upon this finding set forth above. That's the resolution.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, so now we move on to new business
Said I could speak again.
at the end of the meeting. The new business being an application for a CEO determination, Wyden for 10.24, 174 Bridge Street. Its determination is involving a certificate of occupancy that was issued. Is anybody here for the Wydens? Okay. What date did you file this application?
January 14th.
January 14th of this year?
Correct.
Okay. Jim Crowley? What date was the certificate of occupancy issued?
Mr. Chairman, October 5th, 2021.
Okay, so
I know where you're heading, Mr. Chairman, with this.
let me finish. All right, all right. It's outside the 60-day window that's provided in 11.6.2 of the zoning law, paragraph B. All right, the zoning law does not provide for any gray there. It's black and white, 60 days. And this is well beyond 60 days.
The case law in the state of New York is very, very clear that if a property owner is not aware of the issuance of a determination, then the 60 days begins when they do become aware of that. My clients made multiple FOIL requests to the town clerk for all documents pertaining to this property, including after the CO was issued, and did not receive a copy of the CO until December 16. We have from 60 days from December 16 to file our appeal, which we did. It's timely.
You didn't note that in your application.
I don't think I needed to.
Well, it's a critical part of it. If you say what you say
In
is
that case, the
accurate.
CPA or your attorney could have contacted me beforehand, and we would have had this discussion.
We may have had that discussion, Ben. I'm not sure. I'll go
No,
back
we-
and check, and I might have even sent you an email, but
No.
regardless, your clients were following this closely. They knew that the building permit had been issued. They knew that they were concerned. They knew they had all the records up to that point. They're following it. They could have made the inquiry. I don't agree with your analysis.
My clients made multiple inquiries.
You know something? I did not interrupt you once when you were speaking, did I? So show me the courtesy
All right.
of allowing me to finish what I'm about to say. Thank you. In any event, you had every opportunity to continue to make inquiries. You chose not to. You sat on it. The time is gone. The duty is on your client to follow it. It's not, the town does not have a duty to ascertain everybody who's got an interest in something and give them notice.
My client made multiple FOIL requests.
And those FOIL requests were responded to, and the documentation was provided as of that point.
It was not. We did not receive the CO until December 16th.
Your last,
Want to litigate this?
apparently you do.
We have no choice.
I have all the.
You're
emails
sitting,
right here.
you're violating our rights.
The emails right
That's your position and you're entitled to.
Ken, you should have spoken to me about this beforehand.
Oh, Ben, I don't have a duty to speak to you about this. I represent the
No, but we,
board, not you and not your client.
but we could
I don't
have,
owe a duty to
could have
anyone.
avoided this litigation that we're going to file. There's no question about it.
here. Emails are right here.
Right.
We have all the documentation. There's no question what the facts are. There's no question what the law, case law in the state of New York is. I had the cases with me right here.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess.
So what's the decision of the board?
Well,
They haven't made a decision yet.
I
have
haven't made a decision yet.
I just want to make this clear. I didn't, what do you mean? What's the decision? How could we have a decision? We literally just got this.
No,
How-
where,
How are we going to proceed? That's what he means. on how we're
Right.
gonna
Okay.
proceed. So with that being said, on my own motion, I'm going to,
oh, and if I may, litigation will include claims for monetary damages, violation of constitutional rights.
on my own motion, I'm going to ask that this application be dismissed on the grounds of it being untimely in accordance with 11.6.2 paragraph B of the zoning law of the town of Tustin. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Four ayes, one no. The motion carries. The matter is dismissed.
As they say, see you in court.
Okay, now for public comment. Anybody want to say anything? Ma'am?
I'm actually kind of glad we're going after that. We came here this evening assuming decisions have already been made regarding our application for art shop. And likely, as is true, the denial of the purchase. If you would have asked me in November at our last meeting of 2021, after 4 sessions with the members of the ZBA, I would have told you I was cautiously optimistic we were on our way to get conditional approval to continue to use 13 Second Street as a cooperative studio and workshop. Cut to the meetings we've had in 2022, and somehow all of the progress the board and our team had come to by the end of our November session had been lost in a whirlwind of false claims to our intention and to personal opinion, taking priority over substantial fact and dedicated research. The most glaring example being the consistent claim that our estimates are too high as the response to numbers given in successive meetings by 4 industry professionals, all of whom had taken the time to tour the building and property at 13 Second Street and give us realistic estimates on each of the elements needed to give accurate financial hardship proof. These numbers were consistently dismissed based solely on opinion with no proof to the contrary, and no interest was had in touring the property to understand the reality of what is being presented when we invited the board members to take a firsthand look. This showed us that this showed us that we aren't at the mercy of the proof. We are at the mercy of the arbitrators. I had a great deal I thought I would say tonight to document the frustration and clear confusion of the zoning law that we have encountered from our first and very dismissive meeting with the planning board to the 6 sessions we have had here with the zoning board of appeals. But there seems little point in reinforcing the facts of our proposal that fall on unyielding personal opinion from the minority of sitting members. What I do feel it's important to say in our final meeting tonight is for all of us, the members of the community and the members of the various boards of the town of Preston. We have got to reset the way that we work and speak, and frankly, how we disagree with each other. Our community has changed a great deal over the course of the coronavirus pandemic, not to mention the 39 years since the zoning laws were enacted. The current climate has uncovered needs and opportunities alike that we should be embracing, not ignoring, in order to move forward together. I've watched many surrounding communities embrace the reality of the current climate and have opened wonderful new businesses, community spaces, and celebrated together in inventive new ways, creating community by working together to move forward. I look around the town of Tustin, and while I see so many small business owners, new homeowners, and longtime residents coming together and working hard to keep doors open and our community safe, there is a very unfortunate undertone of personal agenda and quarrels bulldozing our opportunity for overall progress. For myriad reasons, we are running out of space for growth and new opportunity in this creative community. There is over 18,000 square feet of vacant or unused commercial space in our downtown business district. 18,000 square feet. And that's a generously low estimate. Our business district isn't a metropolis to begin with, and to have that much space not available to use, we have to come together to figure out a way to expand the services we are able to offer our community moving forward. This was a major factor in our application for use that needs to be understood. It may not be the right time for a project. We're prepared for that. But we won't be the last project coming to this board with similar applications. Many of the non-conforming buildings situated throughout the general residential zone of our hamlet are being rendered unusable due to neglect and/or are beginning to change hands as one generation passes the torch to the next. If there isn't a way for us to sit and have real conversations about how we can all benefit from these unique and valuable properties, then they will continue to decay. 13 2nd Street is a building that has been used as a cooperative workshop for over 30 years, while not only not harming the nature of the neighborhood, but continuously contributing to it. We were prepared and looking forward to doing just the same. It needs to be understood this is a very unique building in the Narrowsburg Flats. It is a commercial building surrounded on all 4 sides by not family residential properties, but commercial, rural vacant land, and town parcels. One being a town utility storage shed with trucks moving in and out regularly every day right at the shared property line, lending itself undesirable for residential use, but quite a suitable location for non-conforming use, contributing to the community without disturbing the residential environment. Let us all adjust our emotional temperature gauges. I'm forcing myself to do the same. And when considering growth, let us ask ourselves what the goal is here. Why should we let a building that is a future full of potential for many have little other life than to be torn down and sit as another vacant lot in our town used by none? As a wise friend shared with me, we can decide to manage growth or we're left to manage decline. There will only be more and more unusable buildings that will sit heavy on the landscape as time passes. We aren't asking to open a restaurant, an event space, or even have a storefront. If you happen to see a petition or a letter writing campaign going around town, be aware that the project presented to the community was not a description of our own. It's the creation of someone with a fearful imagination and no desire to ask questions or speak with us. It would have been incredible space with so much potential for everyone, or perhaps it's just not the right time. Maybe it's not the right place either, but I hope the value here is ensuring another outbuilding does not begin to atrophy due to nonconformity and be a positive result of the incredible amount of time we all have spent in what we've learned here together. We would like to thank so many of you here tonight and beyond that have guided us, encouraged us, shared the myriad ways you would be able to benefit from our project, and know that we will keep working in the best interest of our town and to find ways we can grow and work together. We have no interest in wasting our time with negativity. We have no interest in wasting our time with the negativity that's reared its very sad head for very little purpose. So let's all move forward and keep the best interest of all of our neighbors at the forefront of our choices. Thank you again to the members of this board for volunteering your time to be of service to the community and for the time you spent working with us. You do not underestimate the value of everyone's time and energy that they've put into this project. Thank you.
Firstly, I have said multiple times that I am not, and those of us who have sent in letters are not against the project. What we are against is the location. GR is residential. If we open the door to commercial, it will be a door that cannot be closed. There are 6 other districts. There are other places that a fine project like this, I'm not opposed to the project or the people, neither are the people who have signed the letters, written letters. What we are opposed to is looking at the short-term effect in relationship to the long-term effect. The law is the law, and we need to uphold the law. And the law states that this section of town, GR, is residential. It needs to stay residential. People who moved in, people who have been there for many decades, new people are moving in. They are moving in because it is residential. Downtown business is a short walk away. And yes, I agree that it is really very unfortunate and wrong to have structures in downtown business that cannot be made viable. I don't know what can be done about that. That's not my concern at this particular moment. My concern is that residential needs to stay residential, because if you open the door, have no control of what commercial can go in, especially when it has been noted in what the attorney read about anything past 12 months. You lose grandfathering, you lose the commerciality of it. This is residential. It needs to stay residential. There are other areas, and perhaps we can talk about some things. Catherine, there are some places that I investigated, because I don't want this to be seen as this is something, and they are very, very close. So perhaps we can discuss that. I am certainly willing to discuss with you, the 3 of you, however, and we can do that at some time in the future, and I can give you some of the thoughts that I have. The project is a good project. It just cannot be in GR, general residential. Thank you.
Sir?
My name is Brendan Wyden. I'm a resident of Narrowsburg. I've spent my whole life here. This has been my second home. My father was born on the farm outside of town. I love this town. I've tried everything I can to do the right thing by the town. In 2015, when the school lay vacant for 10 years, my wife and I bought the building with the idea that we could do something good for this community. We didn't do it to throw our money away. We came to do something good. We tried to do that. We tried very hard. We're rational people. We want to invest our time and our effort and our money in things that make sense for the town. We abide by the rules. We're very diligent. We want to do the right thing by the town. There are rules. We abhor people who break the rules. This town is broken. This town has a broken government. It doesn't work well. It has to work a lot better. To allow what got built across the street from us is a crime. It's hurting us. It's taking our parking. It's hurting us. And what do we get? We get the hand. That's just a dispute between neighbors. But the town let it happen. The town, the people in this room let it happen. And I'm sorry it did. I feel like it's a slap in the face. It's taking the wind right out of my sails. Right? Why should I continue to do more good for this town when the government of this town allows me to be hurt by their actions? Zoning laws are in place, in part, so that neighbors don't have to fight each other. You know, maybe it's what Iris is saying. Maybe this is an issue of the right thing in the right place. You know, when we went to purchase the building, somebody else had an idea for the building, to turn it into a drug and alcohol treatment center. I have no problem with drug and alcohol treatment center, but not in the biggest building at the main intersection of a small hamlet. It's the wrong place. Doesn't belong there. We were on the planning board Zoom meeting when Barb Veloci presented for 45 people and 14 parking spaces. That's not what they built. They snubbed their eye, their fist right in the eye of the town. And everybody in this room and everybody in the town, you got punched in the face and you don't even know it. Right? A big hoodwink's been pulled over. Okay? It's hurting us. It's taking away our parking. There's garbage and debris and junk being thrown onto our property by an owner who doesn't care. He just doesn't care. I don't want to be a neighbor. I don't want to have a neighbor like that. So I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed that this legality, that our attorney reaching out to you, how many times you got the hand? No communication.
Deny it.
Yeah,
Don't deny it.
right? So is this the town we want to have? Or are we going to make it a town where we kick out the people who break the law, the people who don't adhere to the law, the people who don't care about their neighbors? If that's what we have to do, maybe that's what we have to do. Okay, and if we want to let it be the Wild West. Let everybody do whatever they want. That's okay too. Just let me know, right? And I'll make my plans accordingly. So,
Right.
so, I'd ask everybody, wake up, take a look at the facts, take a look at what transpired, come to your own conclusions. Or you can ask me and I'll tell you my conclusions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir?
My name is Edward Kraus. I'm familiar with this project that they were doing down there. Allison Peck, the girl that's selling the property, is a daughter of Arthur and Beth Peck. They came into Narrowsburg in the 60s with $2,000 and 52 Chevy pickup truck. They put the $2,000 down on the O&B grocery store. And the Pecks built that grocery store into 4 grocery stores in different towns. They moved off of Main Street. They built the shopping plaza down there. They did a lot of good things for this town. And they built the library for this town. The library is in honor of Art and Beth Peck. And I don't think Allison would do something that would be something that they would not approve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Anybody else? The board? Anybody on the board have anything?
Yeah. I don't understand this technicality thing. I really don't. I'm sorry, but this why didn't, what was that?
What are you getting at?
What, it's not even going to be addressed. They have valid concerns. I'm not the chair.
Well, let him finish what he's going to say first, all right?
I'm on the same topic.
I'm sorry, but well, first of all, it's definitely come back to bite your ass. That's for sure. Okay. No doubt about it. I said ass. If I think we had the opportunity right now to talk about this for the community here, what transpired, what has been transpiring, as opposed to just shut the door for this 60-day technicality, which apparently is not exactly the truth. So why don't we discuss this? Because what they're saying is extremely valid. Did you read it? Are we dismissing this because it's too heavy? I'm sorry, but that's not how we operate.
I don't get the sense we're dismissing it because it's too heavy, Nico. It's an interesting.
Interesting.
it
Oh,
was-
I drank tea and I read it last night and I found it was very entertaining. Yes.
I didn't say entertaining. I said it's an interesting look, and that's different from entertaining, Nico. It would be very instructive. Not a better word for you? It would be a very instructive work to look at the accusations and see, has the,
It's a recitation of six invalid reasons why they brought this before the board.
well.
And they,
That's, that-
and they're
it is-
not
it is-
just,
It is 6 reasons that the Widens believe make the CO invalid. And that it would be instructive for us to look at that. Whether we can make a decision on it and overturn it, that's between the
oh,
attorney. and the- and the
I
court of law.
certainly, I had no plans to make any decision on this tonight. In fact, was,
Of course not. We
was-
can't make a decision on it tonight.
well, you guys just dismissed it
Right,
On,
entirely.
right, because it's, the law is clear here, Nico. The law is clear. It doesn't give us any latitude to consider.
Excuse
any
me,
other
excuse
law.
me. Tell me the days. How many days? 60 days. When did you guys hear about this? When was the first time you heard that this was accepted?
A multiple FOIL requests for all documents pertaining to this property, including a FOIL request specifically requesting the certificate of occupancy, were made after October 5, and we did not receive a copy of the CO until December 16th. Therefore, under New York case law, which is very clear.
I know case law
60
now.
days
Thank you.
Begins to run on December 16th, not October 5.
So would you say, I'm sorry, just out of the top of my head, about 40 days?
Less,
Okay,
30 days.
okay. And this board is going to sit here right now and say, yeah, it was a technicality on 60 days. You realize that that's a mistake.
60 days from October 5 had already expired by the time we became aware of the issuance of the CO. It's literally impossible to file an appeal within 60 days after October 5 if you have no knowledge of it, and if a copy is not provided to you despite numerous FOIL requests.
I think this is a crux issue. This is a lack of transparency issue right here, right now. Everyone look at, this is a very much lack of transparency in this town.
It raises the issue. It raises the issue about proper document control
Mhm.
and whether that was interfered with.
Yes. I digress with that particular, yes.
He has
So-
made FOIL requests for for instance, that another document was not provided to us by the town pertaining to this property because we received a copy of that document through another agency. So we know that the town violated FOIL with respect to that document as well.
Just be warned. Okay, be warned that this absolutely, whether it's seen now and discussed now, even just briefly, or in the future, actually, what I was going to suggest is this evening, if I may, and now it's completely irrelevant, but I wrote a little something. May I?
Depends on what it's about.
Yeah,
Oh. Okay, I'll summarize it. Basically, I was going to suggest, before this gets all nasty with litigation, I was actually going to suggest to the people who are aggrieved to perhaps consider working amicably to try to find a creative solution about this parking issue.
We've done that since July.
Okay, and I don't need details about it.
We've gotten the hand repeatedly, insultingly, we've gotten the hand repeatedly. I think we've gone far beyond being civil and polite and trying to solve this as gentle people.
July 31, we met with town attorney and the town supervisor and said, we have concerns about this property. Here are our concerns. Could you please look into them? After that, he answered only two times did he respond to our attorneys almost weekly, emails and phone calls, asking for us to talk about what was going on there, which we knew was in violation. We came to the town collegially to try to resolve this. As Brendan said, got the back of the hand.
I was also gonna say in the summary here, to summarize rather, that I find it extremely unfortunate that it's come to this, because actually it's a really exciting project. And I think that this town, once again, why are we pushing people away from projects that gain revenue?
It's what Ira said. It's a matter of the right thing in the rightful place. I don't believe that.
But I also condone people who break laws.
Place with inadequate parking, no sidewalks, and
Especially the government.
commission for an overpopulation far exceeding anything it ever saw before is not in the right place. I have no problem with bars. I have no problem with a bar with an automobile theme. There's a place for it, and it's not at 174 Bridge Street, on the tiny lot of 174 Bridge Street. Find another place for it.
Anybody have anything else on the board?
Don't go to the flat. Where do you go? Don't go to the flat.
On 174 Bridge Street, they came to the planning board 2 years ago on that project. And they were given permission for 1 floor, 45 people, provide 14 parking spots in the back,
980 square feet.
2 handicaps in the front, and no parking in front of the building. They, on their own,
Can you speak louder? They can't hear you. The other.
they on their own,
27.
put a second floor on there. To take 60 more seats. Took away one of the handicap parking, fenced off the parking in the back of the place, so there's no more parking in the back. They put a gate up there. So now they have 1 parking spot, handicap parking. They came to us, I think, in October
September 28th.
to get permission to do the second floor. We told them they didn't have enough parking. And the only way they could do it was to get the variance or some kind of special permit. And they didn't do it. They didn't get that. They took away parking that they were supposed to have there. And now I'm hearing they got a CO. At that meeting, it was said at that meeting that none of the inspections were done on the place. That the second floor just went up. I guess nothing was ever inspected there. No one knows if the roof could hold the weight of 60 people, plus all the furniture up there. Town is looking into any of that. It's just on an architect drawing that he said it's okay. And they haven't been back to the planning board since. But they got a CO.
Anybody else on the board? Okay, with nothing else being said, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Steve?
No, I'm still not certain that we should just close the meeting on it.
I think it's wise to,
Because there are certainly issues here. And Ken, how strict is that 60-day thing? Is it, how strict is that 60-day?
60 days.
We can't,
60 days from when the appellant.
We can't
becomes
make,
aware of the determination.
our own determination on that without, so do we risk being outside of our own zoning law if we say Yeah, we heard 60 days and the CO was on, it was issued on October 5th and
Board appeal was filed well more than 60 days after the issuance of that.
Not from the issue.
Something like 101 days. It was, so it was.
I'll repeat myself one more time. The 60 days begins to run when the appellant becomes aware of the determination. We filed within less than 30 days after becoming aware. We made numerous requests for documents pertaining to this property, including after October 5, and did not receive a copy of the CO until December 16th. Think about it. It's common sense. Can't be held to a time frame when you don't, when the triggering event, you're not aware of the triggering event, and particularly here, where requests were made for the document termination, and we didn't receive it until months after the requests were made.
what evidence do you have that shows you learned about the C of O on?
We have all the emails
In the back, isn't it?
transmitted by
also in the back.
Kathy and the
No,
town
that wasn't
clerk's
in it.
office.
It was an issue, but here's all-
I'm sure you can check the town's email. I'm sure you can check the town officer's emails. That might be.
Well, you're gonna wind up getting sued by them, or you're gonna wind up getting sued by Jim Crowley or the other property owner.
The most
Got the
recent
CO.
one.
Now, the CO isn't for the second floor. The CO is only for what the planning board approved. Seems to be on the record.
So they're not allowed to use the second floor.
They're not.
I'm gonna decide if I,
Tear down.
I'm not sure I want to give it just yet.
No,
I need a
you
little bit
can
of
at this
space.
point.
Because
Jim potentially could start a process to do that.
Oh, I know where you live. If I'll reach out and say if you need anything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where it is, they were.
Yeah, Jim Crowley. The C of O that was issued for this property, what specifically does that cover? Cover just the first floor? Or does it cover the whole property?
Covers the first floor.
Base floor
And in the base.
in the basement. Not, the second story is not covered by the C of O. They cannot use that.
If you,
It's not for what the planning board approved in terms of population.
if you look at it,
It's far more than what the planning board approved.
In addition, what was built is far more than what the building permit authorized.
1933 square feet.
The building was supposed to have a bar in there, but now it has tables. But there's more seating than what they applied for on the first floor,
More seating than what they were approved for.
and there's less parking than what they were supposed to have.
So basically, it's some.
Alicia wants.
Hi, I'm Alicia Crock. I am Beth and our Peck's granddaughter. In the resolution, you had said it was an abandoned for over a year. That is totally not a true statement at all. So I would like to know where that's coming
Its
from.
use was abandoned.
It's not, the use is not abandoned. We are still using it. So I would like to know where that use in the resolution. is
Using
coming
it as a garage or a workshop does not constitute a commercial use.
from. That is the use of it. And it is a use of an auto body shop. So it's not abandoned. So your resolution is not correct. So I'm just asking if that's what your resolution is. It stated several times that it was abandoned and it's not abandoned.
The use was abandoned.
It's not abandoned. I'm telling you, as the person who's part of the family, it's not abandoned.
Who said it's abandoned? Who did the inspection?
You've all been- That's what I'm asking. I'm getting to answer, but it's not, that's not true. So I'm asking how that
Well,
got.
first of all, no one presented anything during the course of proceeding to prove that. Second of all, it
I
would.
wasn't asked.
Second of all, it wouldn't matter anyway because they didn't provide or prevail on the other three grounds. So even if you discount that one. I'm not
Very
arguing with these people.
Even if we.
The decision is made.
Well, even if we went back and amended it.
I'm just asking as somebody, both me and my husband are part of a town board meeting, and I'm gonna tell you right now.
Kathy found
I've
her
never seen
email
anything
on
like
the
this.
16th where she
So
received it, and it does
Gotta
confirm
be
that.
disappointed for Tustin right now, because you have people coming in, who wanna come in and drive the young population, residential or not. I grew up on the flats, I saw what's happening, it's dead down there. I walk down there, I run down there, there's nobody out because nobody's there. So we need to revitalize Tustin. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but we gotta do it.
Yeah. Okay, so
How it got teamed up there.
Chair, one person talks at a time or just close the meeting? And you either make them speak one at a time.
Folks, please.
You do have one person that would like to speak online if you want to hear from them.
Sure, yeah.
You can unmute, Mary.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I also sit on the planning board. I'm going to reiterate what Joe said. That's exactly what happened on the planning board. And we did table it at that point because there was a lot of questions that were brought up. And I just want to agree with Joe about what he stated. That's all I want to say at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Steve?
in light of seeing the notification of the C of O that the Whites received in December, I would move that we abandon our original decision not to hear this and move that we go ahead and hear it.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Right. Okay. So motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Ken?
It's your decision.
Okay, buddy. Okay, Mr. Who's gonna present it?
I will. Now, how would you like to proceed?
Go ahead.
Presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Has the board had an opportunity to, it sounds like
Yes.
Mr. Juarez has. Has the board had an opportunity to review the submission?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just gonna do a brief summary then. It's, lengthy. We have a lot of detail, a lot of documentation that proves claims we're making. And I'll just summarize those for the board. The first one is that the certificate of occupancy does not conform with the planning board's approval. Because the CO allows much greater floor area to be converted to the bar restaurant use than the planning board approval allowed. The planning board's approval approved a change of use to the bar restaurant of 980 square feet. The CO authorizes 1,933 square feet, almost twice as much as the planning board approved. The second reason is that it's related to the first, that the significantly greater floor area authorized by the CO, greater than was approved by the planning board, therefore requires many more parking spaces than the planning board had approved. And we show also in the documentation how even the planning board's approval of only 14 spaces is not clearly enough. It falls way short of what the zoning code requires. for off-street parking for that use that was approved by the planning board. And now it's even much less than that. It fails even more by the authorization of the 1,900 square feet approved by the certificate of occupancy. The third reason is that the work itself does not comply with not only with the planning board's approval or with the building permit that was issued by the building department. And the document there that the work itself accounted for over 2,700 square feet of bar restaurant space.
Which tab? Could you let us know which tab?
Oh,
sir?
sorry. Yep, I'm on page 8 right now. Invalid reason number 3.
Thank you.
And the bottom of that page is the chart.
Okay, go ahead.
So which demonstrates that the actual work that was done created over 2,700 square feet of bar restaurant space, more than the building permit authorized of the 1933, and more than the planning board authorized of the 980. Page 11 is the beginning of reason number 4. And in this case, the CO was authorized for a plan that does not have any off-street loading berths. Under the town zoning code, at least one must be provided for a commercial use. The planning board did not waive that requirement. No request was made by the applicant to waive that requirement. Therefore, under the zoning code, at least one loading berth must be provided. There are none. Therefore, the CO is invalid for that reason as well. Page 12 is reason number 5. The zoning code requires parking spaces to be 10 feet by 20 feet. The applicant did not request the planning board to waive that requirement, and it was not waived. So therefore, the CO authorizes the use, which does not comply with the zoning law in terms of the size of the off-street parking spaces. On page 13 is the 6th reason. This relates to the access to the property. And the CO violates section 6.12.3 and section 1.3 by providing the unsafe access and also access that is over the property of a neighbor without the existence of any easement or right of way over that property. We included, starting on page 15, some additional information for the board's information, including, for instance, that when the planning board referred this matter to the Orange County Planning Department, I'm sorry, Sullivan County Planning Department, which the board was required to do, there was no site plan provided to the county planning department, so they couldn't give a any type of a reason to review that application. The cover sheet from the board stated that there was a site plan included, but there was not. There's a few other items on that pages 15 through 17. Other information doesn't relate directly to our appeal, but it's good information for the board to be aware of.
Did the county Division of Planning give conditioned responses, or did they just, how did they reply?
I think they just gave it a local determination. It's a neutral response.
Even though it was located on a state and county highway?
How does that happen? How does that happen?
Called the town and someone told them the site plan was required.
Someone from the town hall told the county, you don't need a site. How does that happen?
Go ahead.
How do we investigate what happened at the planning board?
You're, if what they're appealing is a decision made by the planning board, which,
No, we're not.
well, that's what you're complaining about things that the planning board did.
No,
No,
no.
the planning board was plain and clear what they approved.
All six
What was built.
reasons, all six reasons relate directly and only to the certificate of occupancy.
Planning board was wrong.
The planning board originally only gave 980 square feet. And they did that calculation with the parking spots available.
No, we told them they didn't follow the plan when they came to the last meeting in October. That was not what they. Up on their own, first floor, second floor, parking everywhere. They did what they wanted to do.
And there was never a stop work order? Issue?
There should have been a stop work order, but it wasn't given. Who did that stop work order?
Planning board, I think,
Code
had
enforcement
that
officer.
until they came back to the planning board because they found out.
We're only here a part of
Certificate of
it, so
occupancy for the second
I'm
floor.
not gonna comment on it.
Okay.
We're glad to take any further questions. I know there's a lot to digest. I would request that the board schedule a public hearing for your next meeting.
My procedurally, my suggestion is since you've opened it up and they're going to entertain it, my suggestion is number one, that you, before you schedule that public hearing, there needs to be a public hearing. There's no question procedurally, there's no question about that. I think there needs to be an opportunity for the code enforcement officer to submit a response if he sees fit to do so. I think also you're talking about adjudicating the rights of another entity, which is the entity to which the certificate of occupancy has been issued. And I think they need to be given notice of this application and an opportunity to be heard as well. Otherwise, you're going to be accused of taking away their property right.
No,
That's
we-
what their claim's going to be.
No, we agree with that.
Somebody's gonna be suing the town.
Well, there you go.
And we also agree the building inspector should be given an opportunity to make a submission. My request there is that the board schedule the hearing for your next meeting and request that he make that submission, say, within the next 2 weeks. Which gives the board and us some time to review it.
I mean, I think this is an issue that's a large matter, and I think that the appropriate amount of time should be given. I know that you're busy. So,
Well, the only thing I would suggest is that you give until at least the next meeting for any submission to be made. I mean, we've got to give notice to the other party,
absolutely.
which we can, I mean, we can reach out to their attorney. He appeared on their behalf, I think, at the planning board, so we can let him know about that and give them an opportunity and tell them, anything that they want to submit in response or opposition should be in by the next zoning board meeting, which would be in March.
Mhm.
And then at that point, hopefully you'll have it, you can digest it and you can decide to schedule a public hearing for a meeting in April.
I agree that next month is too early for a public. I'm sorry, not the chair.
Yeah, that would be accurate. Yeah, we would have to hold it out another month past, so. Who's gonna know, who has to notify the other party?
Well, I'll do the courtesy of sending a copy of the documents that were submitted by the Widens, that their appeal to the attorney and, I mean, you're free to do it yourself too, if you want, but I just assume get it done so that we can give them a fair opportunity to respond.
No, I would ask you to do it.
Oh, yeah, I don't have a problem doing that.
I don't remember his attorney at the planning board.
Yeah, he was here. Pretty sure he was here. Was it Richard Baum? Yeah, Richard Baum. He was here with them at that planning board meeting.
He was at the September 28th meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Wasn't at the original.
No, not at the original proceedings, but
That's the important one.
you gotta remember what the process is here. The process was that once they found out they were not going to get a certificate of occupancy for the second floor, And that they were, the rooftop deck or whatever you want to call it. And whatever else. And there's a caveat, I think, right on the certificate of occupancy. They needed to come back to the planning board. They
Not
came
just
back
for
to
the
the planning
roof,
board.
not just for the roof, for all the other.
They came back to the planning board to start that process. And it was clear that they did not have enough information for the planning board to even proceed to consider that. I think I made that observation myself at that. And that's, and as the two members of the planning board who have spoke this evening, nothing further has happened since. The ball is in their court. They can't occupy that, they can't use or occupy that rooftop deck at this point.
It should be able to occupy the part of the second floor.
Well, that's
Legally built out.
that's what the issue is that you're raising in your appeal. That's what will get to be determined. I understand your position. I'm not gonna sit here and debate your position with you tonight, okay? I understand perfectly what
The record stands for itself. It'll come out.
So we'll table this matter till the next meeting date in March,
March 14th.
March 14th.
Have to.
Okay, all those in, anybody want to make a motion to table that till March 14th? Anybody want to second it?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I said aye, yes.
Okay.
Actually, I seconded it.
okay. Was unanimous, motion carries.
Oh, can you? Oh, all right.
Wow.
Are you closing the meeting now?
Yeah, we're closing the meeting now. All in favor of closing the meeting? We already had a second on closing it before we didn't complete it.
Aye.
Aye, aye. Nico?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Motion carries.